Alright, welcome back to the MT48 2.0 build. We're now on bag K. We'll do the center diff and rear end. Let's jump right into it. Look, we have a drive shaft, center, rear bumper brace, rear bumper, diff carrier mount. Not sure what this is. It looks like it's probably going to sit on the gearbox again and connect to the shock tower. Not sure what this thing is either. Maybe part of the bumper. We'll see. And it looks like we have some chassis braces too. Interesting. I wonder if these set like so. Yeah, I bet. And the back end of the motor mount, it looks like. That should be that bag. Okay, so it looks like we'll go in with the bottom part of the diff carrier motor mount. Looks like it probably sets like so. Yep. And it looks like it gets M4 by 10 screws going into the back end. See if we get the right ones here. And those too long. These M4 by 10s. Those are the right ones. These are a touch too long. There we go. These are going to go into plastic. Oh. You don't want to go nuts. 2 fingers tight. That's all you need. So get these holes lined up. Start the inside and outside. One more of those in the middle. All right. Now it looks like we get our center diff and that 200K oil. It's ridiculously heavy. Center diff, drive shaft. I did rerun these wires a little bit to get them out of the way of the drive shaft. We're going to get that in the cup. And then our spur will face the front. And the dog bones just slide into the out drives like that. And so our spur will sit here. Once I get the pin in, we'll get that on, be able to run there. And then it looks like these pieces comprise the top plate. And it looks like they kind of go together. Yeah, like that. So it kind of encloses the whole assembly. Yeah, very interesting. Oh, I see. So this kind of it clips in between the mount ends and covers the whole assembly. That's kind of nice. Then it keeps that from getting gunked up and everything like that while you're running. Really nice, actually. That's pretty clever. And it looks like the whole thing is enclosed all the way down to the chassis plate. Yeah. Wow. Really nice. I mean, that looks like something I've never seen before. That's nice. So like fully enclosed gearing, so you never have to worry about getting gunked up and things like that in there. That's nice. Well done. Well done, Tekno. So for these, 3 of these are going to go into metal. These will all get Loctite. These 3 are going into plastic. And these will all be cap heads, 1524, 1524. It's M3 by 12. That's a little bit too long. M3 by 12. Yeah. So these are going to plastic. In the back, we'll have to come back and open this back up to put that pinion on as I get it. And I think, actually, I'll test this out. I'll put these 4 screws on this side, and then I'll make sure that I can just open that side and pull it off. Otherwise, it might be a little bit more work. If you're building along, you probably have already put your pinion on. If you have, good for you. All right, let's see now. If we can take this screw out, what can I then remove the whole cover for that side and I can access to put my pinion on? Let's see. How would it come out? Like that? Yeah. Yeah, that works. No problem. Pretty easy access. And so with this one, then I just need to kind of slide it on there and push it in before I put the screws down on it. Really nice. These will get some Loctite because they're going into metal on the front. There's the motor mount itself. I don't think you need to crank that down. It's not really doing anything except for holding that cover on. Maybe it's providing some structural rigidity. I don't know. But it looks to me like it's really just a cover. This one, however, is actually keeping the top plate is keeping your diff engaged. I would drive these down as tight as you can. And again, these ones on the back, you don't want to go too heavy because they are into plastic. And to be honest, I think it's really the front side of the diff that needs more support, and that's why they use metal there, because that's where most of the action's happening between the motor and the diff, right? Everything's kind of in line with the front. It gets most support on the metal side. But yeah, I like to crank these down pretty good. because that plastic is keeping your diff in there, right? These just 2 fingers tight. Yeah, man, that's nice. I don't have the optional center brace. However, I did ask Mr. A to order that one for me, so it is coming. I don't know if I'm gonna have to buy. I'm gonna have to buy all those parts. I should probably let him know that, because I think I just got 9688, but I'll double check and make sure. But I'll get that, and we'll add it in later on. I'll make that like sort of an addendum here. Maybe I'll do that, and I'll do sway bars in the same video. It's like a tuning options sort of thing. All right. Let's keep going with bag K. This is going to be, looks like the rest of the rear end. Okay, so this piece that I didn't really understand looks like it's a big part of the chassis brace. And it gets both of these put here, and then a screw driven through each. So, and that's a 1528. It's a M3x18. It's probably this. No, that's too short. Where's the longer M3? There we are. It should thread all the way through. All right. And then it looks like basically the whole rear end assembly we'll put on with this, and that'll be the car mostly done except for the shocks and final assembly. It looks like. So these will connect to the chassis plate in the front, and I put that on upside down. Come on, guy. There's the doofus. Tell you what. I don't know if Scott's watching, but my family got me this. Make this a little bit easier, huh? I need some more clutch. Right, this one. So there you go. I actually do use electric tools. Right, so these guys will sit on the chassis plate and connect up to the shock tower. Bring in my rear end. Set that on there and see kind of this way. Yep, it should set exactly like that. And we've got to run 1344s up through the chassis into those. So that's those. 1344. Yeah. And then 1324 will get into the C block from the chassis plate. Let's get those on, and that'll have it pretty well attached for us, and we can build from there. So these smaller ones go through the chassis plate and into the C block in the back. This is actually just like the race cars. This is a tuning option on the race cars. You can have these screws in or out, and with them out, the car is supposed to give a little bit more like sort of torsional flex, like this kind of thing, since the chassis isn't connected to the brace. I've actually, with the 2.0s, I've never run it without the brace connected. I've always run them with, but it is a tuning option to leave them disconnected. The old cars never had a connection there. This is a newer sort of thing that came along in the 2.2 series stuff on the race cars. I'm going to guess that probably had something to do with Sean and Seth Van Dalen. Not sure. And then we can also put the M3 screws through the chassis into the gearbox as well while we're here, and tighten these down. Last time we didn't do that. And then once I put these on, I'll put the brace on the front of the gearbox. All right, those are nice and tight. Right, chassis brace. And we have the screws over here for that. All right, that's the screws through the chassis plate. We have to run some screws into the gearbox and through the shock tower. And these go in the top holes, looks like. I want those to start. Let me try the bottoms first. Yeah. Okay. Now I think these go in 1525. Let's be sure. Yeah. It looks like they go in the top holes here. Yeah. Threads now, no problem. All right. Next, it looks like we're going to take that silver screw out again, that placeholder screw, and discard it. Remove this placeholder screw and do not use. Yeah. So we're going to take the bumper brace and 2 of these M3s, and they kind of set in there. And then these will make the rest of the connection to the gearbox from the shock tower. Okay. Then next, we'll go the rest of the skid plate and bumper out. Looks like it kind of clips on to everything, holds it all together. Looks like. And we're on these long screws in the front of the gearbox, the shorter ones the back. So we'll get started. Just had to work its way through the A block and into the, actually, so these screws they'll go through the chassis plate, through the ears in this A block, and into the lid of the gearbox. That's where they ultimately bite into, and they'll hold the whole front end together that way. They hold your diff in that way in the front. I've had it happen where these screws have come loose, either by like a wreck or something like that, or just work their way out, and you'll hear your front differential grind against the pinion because there's not enough, holding it in place. There's not enough pull holding the lid down to keep the gearbox engaged. It's a great way to cook a pinion and the ring gear on your diff. I've never actually had that happen. I've never had to replace a ring gear and a pinion for that reason. But I've had them come loose, and I've almost lost drive because of it. Yes. Last couple of screws here, and that will be the truck pretty well built, except for, some final touches and the shocks, of course. And I'll do a whole video just for, shock build, to kind of, I'll talk a little bit about what we do in racing and how we'll set it up for the monster truck and so on as we go. And I'll kind of do both front and rear at the same time. So that's our truck, pretty well built. Oh, we do need to put this one more screw in the bumper in the back of the gearbox here. Would have been bad to forget that one. All right. Bag K done. Truck's pretty well built. Looks good. Feels good. Should be good. All right, guys. That's it for Bag K. Stay tuned for Bag L and M, and I'll combine those in the next. It'll be our shock builds. We'll talk more about that in the next. Make sure to like and subscribe. See you next time.